What kind of growing pains did you had to go through going to the military and then also balancing your marriage while still being a father? Because I know those things can cause a ripple effect while you're serving your country.
You got to have a strong foundation for whatever it is you're going to do
Mm-hmm.
with your marriage and your mate or whatever, right? So that foundation comes from dating, being intentional about being together, and then you go through things and you get stronger and stronger and stronger. It's like lifting weights or being in the gym, right? If you
Mm-hmm.
don't work that muscle, it's not going to grow.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to the military, the interesting thing about us is my wife was in the military before I was. She was in the Air Force.
Okay.
And then I joined the Navy as she was getting out of the Air Force. So one thing that we when she joined the Air Force or whatever, she went on a deployment or whatever, man, and we had it out, bro. We almost didn't make it. I'm yeah, and I'm okay to say that now
Mm.
because
How many times you had me pull up beside you? Read the minds and we slide through. Every time it's a vibe with you. How many times did I come over? After you yelling and screaming at me, it's over. I look in your eyes to give you closure. But baby, I might just take it further. Take it off. Got everybody looking like a faucet. Know that attitude got you exhausted. You come to me just to get you off, yeah. Go crazy in it like I lost it. It's only me right now. That's all it's gonna be right now. We just living free.
What's up, you guys, and welcome to another episode of Growing Pains. I'm your host, Alex Hampton, and I would love to welcome you guys to this amazing episode. And today we are interviewing someone that I met about 5, 6 years ago.
Mhm.
Really cool dude. He's a photographer, he's a father, he's a man of God. I would like to introduce no other than Kevin Garlington to the podcast. How are you doing, man?
Hey, I'm fantastic, man. Thank you for having me. And appreciate the warm welcome there.
Oh, anytime. And if you guys have seen me collaborate with Jeremy, Ian, Malcolm, another Jeremy, Kevin has always been like the OG in the room. He's known so much more about like look at my wall. All of these people on my wall, he's known more about them than us. And he has a like affinity for comic books. As you can see on his wall, he loves Star Wars, Marvel. So there was
Yeah.
definitely a bridge there when we connected. And man, my first question I wanted to ask, you've been in the military. You've been in the military
hmm
all your life. And you're also married and you have kids. How has it been able how I guess the better question is what kind of growing pains did you had to go through going to the military and then also balancing your marriage while still being a father? Because I know those things can cause a ripple effect while you're serving your country.
Man, that is an excellent question. So let's back up a little bit. So my wife and I, on Monday I'll be 42. My wife and I,
Woo!
my wife and I got together when we were 20. When I
Wow.
was 20, yeah. So we've been together for a minute. And
Uh-huh.
that's just us starting to date, and we got married later.
Mhm.
And I'm bringing it up because you got to have a strong foundation for whatever it is you're going to do
Mhm.
with your marriage and your mate or whatever, right? So that foundation comes from dating, being intentional about being together, and then you go through things and you get stronger and stronger and stronger. It's like lifting weights or being in the gym, right? If you
Mhm.
don't work that muscle, it's not going to grow.
Mhm.
So when it comes to the military, the interesting thing about us is my wife was in the military before I was. She was in the Air Force.
Mhm. Okay.
And then I joined the Navy as she was getting out of the Air Force. So one thing that we when she joined the Air Force or whatever, she went on a deployment or whatever, man, and we had it out, bro. We almost didn't make it.
Mhm.
I'm yeah, and I'm okay to say that now
Yeah.
because see, you never know what the Lord is preparing you for or what was coming your way, right? So
Yeah.
we had all those trials and tribulations as young people without kids. We
Mhm.
went through it and we decided to be together, right?
Mhm.
So fast forward 3 or 4 years later, when I joined the military and then I
Mhm.
get deployed or whatever, we know how to communicate. We know how the money's gonna work. We had all that stuff worked out. And what ended up happening was, see, I've been deployed 3 times. I just told you, but off camera, I
Mhm.
just got back from Saudi Arabia last year. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
but what I can tell you is we never argued past that first time because we knew how to communicate. We got in that rhythm. We understood.
Mm-hmm.
So that, and like I said, when we was going through that, when we were younger, we were both ready to pull the plug and just ready to go on. And then we decided not to. And then you always wonder, like, why did we go through that? Like, what's the problem? And then you look now, here we are, fast forward, 2 children, been through several deployments together. Don't argue about that. Huh? We argue, but while it's never about that type of stuff. So, and then to answer the following part of that, to answer that is to say, hey, how I'm able to do this is because I got a true partner in my wife, right? And that's one thing that you have to really look for when you look for a mate, is like true partnership, true companionship, whatever, right? So that's the part of it, man. It's real simple in words, but it's really complicated in action, right? So, and I don't know, I know you understand that. So that would be my answer to your question.
Oh yeah, man. Yeah, you kind of just laid the playing field, because you talked about how you guys were younger, and after you guys figured out your footing in communicating, everything became smooth sailing. So that way when you guys joined the military, you knew what was going to happen, how it was going to happen, and where you guys were going. And I love how you started it. You said you had to find a foundation. And a lot of times we kind of miss that when we're with somebody, that if you don't establish a foundation, you kind of walking on sand, like, it's gonna be shaky at times. And when you said that, like, another question just popped up in my head. On social media, there are a lot of like relationship gurus and things of that nature,
Sure.
all this other stuff. And I would say, if a young man was preparing to like your son, like if he was preparing to date in 2025, what would you tell him now versus when you started back then? Because you're only 42, you're not even that old,
I know, right?
Yeah.
What I'll say is this. So let's rewind the clock a little bit. So
Mhm.
when I was out there, when I was a young jit in the streets, we didn't have all the social media and everything. You heard it 1,000 times, I know, right?
Right,
But
right.
but it was you had to really, I'll say, I'm gonna use the word intentional a lot because it applies a lot here. But if you wanted to date somebody, think about this. There was no connecting with them via social media. Like, you had to really show up, get that person's phone number, communicate with them, make plans, and show up, right?
At Momentum Media, we offer photography, videography, and DJ services. Book your appointment today at www.momentummediaent.com. Creating moments to capture your vision.
There's no FaceTime and all this type of stuff. So now we live in a bit of a microwave dating society, if I'll say that, right? You could sit on your couch and you could be talking to and communicating with people or whatever. And what I would tell my son is, getting to know people, understanding who they are, and cutting through the superficial part of social media will never go out of style. Okay. But and let's keep it a buck, right? So my thing here is not to degrade social media or say it's bad, but very few people post their failures on social media, right? So you got to think about it.
You preaching already,
Yeah,
bro.
right.
Yeah.
And it's not because I think people are trying to hide things or whatever, but if I'm living my life and I'm not having the greatest time, or it's not my season right now, or whatever's going on, maybe social media is my way to connect with the world in a positive manner, in a joking manner, in a manner where, hey, maybe the me I put online is the me I want to be, or the life I want to have, and it's aspirational, so much as it's not trying to hide things or stunt or flaws or do whatever. It could be that. I tend not to try to get into people's why, because you never know why people do things. And we know when and I say that to say we understand when somebody's being deceptive on purpose. Like that's a difference, right? We understand that.
Right.
But what I would tell them is, hey man, you got to get to know people, and some of that is going to come at You're gonna have to talk to some folks. You're gonna have to go out and meet some folks to see kind of what's going on here. And I just think that you would be. It's easy to fall in love with what they put online. I'm gonna use women as an example. Now I love women. Don't get me wrong, but don't. I'm gonna tell you. You gonna laugh when I say this. Women know them angles for them pictures.
You are so right,
You know
bro.
what I'm saying?
Bro,
You know what I'm saying? So they know
yes,
the angles, right? So
yes.
why would somebody have a chance to curate their image and not put out the best picture? You've seen the women take 50 pictures. They'll find the one where the dress and the shirt felt right. She had a posture good, this and that, and they put that out there.
Them filters, bro.
Them filters, right?
Yeah.
So you have to think about it that way or whatever. So you got to put up there and see what's going on. I've
Mm.
heard a lot of horror stories. I'm sure you have people on them dating apps or whatever, and they pull up and it's like, nah, that ain't him or that ain't her. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
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 So I would just push him to have human interaction, so you can see what you're really dealing with. That's it. That's it. You know what I mean? In terms to keep it simple. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So I want to ask because we talked about your military background,
Mhm.
even with your wife, how has that like challenged your faith in God while being in the military? Because I know being deployed and having to do certain jobs and you don't have to go into in detail because I know some of that stuff you probably
Sure.
can't talk about on camera, but going into those environments where you have to be all you can be what was it like having your faith tested? Because I'm sure your faith was tested in many of those situations.
Absolutely. I think what you have to do. I'm a pretty level-headed person, and I don't get rattled very easily.
Mm,
So the situations that I have been in, haven't it's because of my faith I was able to make it through, right? So I put it like that. So
mm,
it's kind of a circular thing here. It's like, all right, I am in this situation. I am faced with something that is very tough, and decisions have to be made.
mm,
um, a lot of these decisions, sometimes that you get into, especially in these situations, in those moments, you're kind of devoid of um having the opportunity to sit back and pray about it. Sometimes snap decisions have to come up, right? So
mm,
what I've always tried to do is make sure within myself I understand who I am, how am I deeply rooted, what is my feelings on these situations, and I carry that with me with my faith, and I kind of lead with that, and that's a way to. It's almost like muscle memory in a sense. Like I don't have to think about that particular thing.
mm,
But your faith definitely can get tested. It will get tested, but I feel like um, you have to just really sit back and understand who you are as a person. I think a lot of times we always talk about these external factors that affect us and things that go on. Like if you and I were in a restaurant or whatever, and there's
mm.
an explosion outside, we're gonna duck. You know what I mean? And get under the
Yeah,
table, this and that. That's a normal human reaction, right? Fight or
right.
flight or whatnot.
Mm,
And I think what you have to do is understand that those reactions are gonna happen, but sometimes it's how you recover, and it's also when the situation is quiet. And everything ain't hitting the fan. How are you leading? How are you talking to people? How are you coping? And if you're a man or person of faith, woman of faith, or whatever, in those moments, that stuff should come out. And that's how you can lead those under you to the charge or whatever. And I'm not talking about um leading with the Bible here or whatever, because remember, when you're in the military, you meet all kind of folks. I have served with let me tell you something. And you ain't gonna believe this, but it's honest to God truth.
mm,
We go on deployment and we had a sailor tell us, hey, and something happens to me, I have two silver pieces in my rack, in his storage, in his bed or whatever.
mm,
Something happens to my body, put those over my eyes and send those back with me. He believed in the Norse gods. That's
mm,
what his religion. So me and you
mm,
laugh and we talk about Thor and the Avengers and everything. No, he
mm,
really believes that, right?
mm, mm.
Now I'm separating our talks about Marvel and that
Right.
fictitious comic book stuff from his belief. Now I'm not saying he believed in the movie Thor. That's not what I'm talking about.
Right,
You see what I'm
right. The
saying?
actual Greek mythology Thor. Right.
Right, right,
Right.
right. So then I had another young lady. She was a witch. She was a Wiccan,
Mm,
right? And that's how she identified, right? So you have to say to yourself, okay, well, if I believe these things and they believe these things, how do I lead? And I look within myself to say, hey, because I believe these things, doesn't mean I'm taking my Bible out and thumping, beating these folks over the head.
Right.
My thing is taking care of people, right?
Right.
Hey, have you eaten? When the last time you got some sleep? Have you called home? Have you got letters?
Mhm.
Compassion, right? Which is
Mhm.
all through the good book.
Right.
But I'm not taking, you see what I'm saying? I'm not taking
Right.
this and beating him over the head with it. I'm just
Right.
leading that way. So you
Right.
ask, how do we make it through that? And I just look within myself to
Mhm.
find that peace connected with the higher power. So that's what it is. Just really simple, but
Mm.
just methodical in that way. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and that was I love what you said in terms of leading and compassion because that's what Jesus did in the Bible. Like when he walked with the tax collectors and all these other people, the Pharisees were like, "Why are you walking with these wretched people?" He's like, "They need me too. Like I'm walking with them and showing them
True.
love and compassion." And I love what you said, like, you just checking on them, just the human element of saying, "Hey, you called your family, have you ate?" Things of that nature. And I believe that's what God has called us to do is because we're not called to beat people over the head with God. We're called to just be a good steward of who he is. And I love how you broke that down without having to like quote a scripture and just bang it against them and say, you have to do this, that, and the third. Like, nah.
Sure.
I mean, if this is what you believe, I respectfully, respect it, and we're gonna get through whatever we're getting through. Because at the end of the day, you got to make it to your family. I got to make it to mine. And speaking of family, I wanted to ask, what was it like you when you were entering fatherhood, when you had your first child? Like, what was that? What was that epiphany for you? Did you feel like you had to like step up more, or did you feel like your reality has completely changed now?
So, good question, real good question, right? So I got a little story, but around the birth of my first son,
Hmm.
actually around both of birth of both of them. So my oldest son is 13.
Hmm.
Um, I we found out my wife was pregnant. It was a welcome blessing, right? It was nothing but joy for the both of us, right?
Hmm.
What happened though was found out she was pregnant, and then a week later I found out I was going to be deployed and I was leaving. The deployment date was around the date she was due. I was home after he was born. I was home for 10 days and I had to leave. Right.
Man.
Yeah. So at the hospital, and keep in mind, her and I both, we live at the time, well, still now, we live away from family. So when we went to the hospital, it's me and her. It's always been me and her, right? So we took care of things. So I
Hmm.
had to leave her and go on deployment and then come back. It was almost 10 months when I got back. So what I know was I come from a long line of great men, stepfather, father, grandfather, right?
Hmm.
Who took care of business. So what happened was because great men poured so much into me, I started moving in a direction without even realizing, right?
Right.
So my wife and I met in college. We went to a HBCU, went to Alabama State University, right? So we HBCU sweethearts.
Hmm.
We both lived that life and partied and did our thing. It's college students do, right? Then you
Hmm.
become a professional and you start moving away from those things. So I had my first child at 27, um, which kind of helped with the maturity piece. And then I was already in the military, so it kind of helped. But what I realized was, as I was moving in that direction that those men were moving in, I seen all three of them put everybody in the house before themselves and make sure everybody else was straight. So the thing I was doing was just making sure she had everything she needed, making sure she was straight. Like I tell you one thing I did,
Hmm.
and this is when I knew I'm a car person. Everybody know I always have a nice car, right?
Hmm.
I believe in that for people.
Hmm.
I had a truck, had a really nice Nissan Titan or whatever, nice rims and stuff. And I said, you know
Hmm.
what? Instead of me keeping this truck while I'm gone, I'm going to sell it, and then all that money that comes in the house from the truck she has access to in case anything happens or whatever, right? So just stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? You start to change your thinking or whatever. Now, was I nervous about the baby? Of course. Did I feel like I have all the answers? No. But what I know is this, and you're a father too.
Hmm.
And what I'll tell you, you have advice to give young men as well. And any young man that's listening to this, I'll tell you,
Yeah.
90% of what we do, you and I, is
Hmm.
just being there. If
Ah.
you're there, you can, because you think about it. If I'm not there, I can't answer the question. If I'm not there, I can't be a part of the solution, right? Now, for the folks that may be listening to this, I understand not every situation is going to allow you to be in that house. every day or whatever it is. And I
Mhm.
respect and understand that. I'm just talking about being able to be there and have that connection. Being there may mean a different thing for this person as it does for me because I'm married and my kids are in the house. See what I'm saying? Some people
Mhm.
have external situations that won't allow them to be there as much as they want to be, and I understand that. So I want to be sensitive to that. But
Mhm.
I'm just talking about for me in my situation, and to answer the question that you asked, what I realize is 90% of what I'm doing, I'm in here. Hey man, now that I got a teenager, some of the questions that come up in here, I know the answer. Sometimes I don't know if I should be answering it, but the thing is, I'm in here.
Right.
So I'm present, right? And just
Mhm.
being present, sometime in your mind you say, "Hey, I don't know what I would do in that situation." Then you get in it and you're like, "Oh, I know exactly what to do."
Mhm.
Or, or maybe you don't know what to do, but you are calm in presence and you calm the chaos. Hey, maybe we ain't got the answer right now, but everybody cool right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's part of it, man. But I fell into that. But like I said, I had really good examples of what to do um in front of me. But it was not like I had a manual. I just knew that hey, I'm with her. I chose her. She chose me. We made this kid. So I just want to make sure everything's available. So for
Mhm.
everything to be taken care of. So that was kind of how I did it, man. Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny you say that because mine was a little bit similar to that to an extent. Like, yeah,
Hmm.
just being present, and I would say the same thing. I would say be present, but I would also say, like you've been saying in this interview, be intentional. Because my child now is about to be 7 in May. So, and
Wow.
she is getting big, and fun fact, her birthday is on May the 4th. So like
Oh,
when
nice, nice.
exactly.
Star
So
Wars, baby. That's what I'm talking
exact
about.
exactly. So I feel like God knew what I needed when she came into my life. So yes, I can definitely relate where you're coming from. Which brings me to my next question is that in a lot of these different things you have shown a role of leadership. I can honestly say, like, even when I first met you, the first thing I identified with you is a leader. Being in the military, whether if you are a high rank or not, you're still called to be a leader to a certain extent.
Mhm.
Where would you say, as a man, you learned I won't say learn, but you grew into your leadership roles as you got to this point right now?
I'm the three men I named earlier, my father, my stepfather, and my grandfather, and two of them have passed, by the way, but that's just, saying over the years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of instilled that in me. But I'll tell you, when I first realized I was a leader, I was in band in school, in the marching band.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and just, I went on and did that in college or whatever, but I've always been somebody drum major or section leader, this and that or whatever. And at one point, I thought I wanted to be a music teacher. So that requires you to be out front talking to people, leading and knowing what you're talking about. So all that stuff for me started early on. And just knowing that with if I don't have any other gifts, the Lord bless me with a mouthpiece. I got to get the gab. I can talk to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and that's kind of where they came from, man. And also too, um, I'm not one of them people that I don't have to necessarily be in charge or anything like that. It's not that. But a lot of times I get in these situations when people ask me my opinion or what's going on for real, and I always tell them, "Hey man, do you really want me to tell you what I think, or are we just talking here?" And I'm cool with whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you and I have, we had those long talks and podcast episodes and stuff that we had done,
Yeah.
and just sharing knowledge with each other and doing this and that. But yeah,
Yeah.
that's where it came from, Eric. For those three men, well, and let me tell you, all three of those men served in the military.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my stepfather and my grandfather were the highest ranking folks in the family, and they were in several different leadership roles, especially my stepfather. So
Mm-hmm.
um, that was one thing that as a young adult coming into my own, I saw the stuff he was doing
Mm-hmm.
and saw him get the phone calls at midnight when somebody was drunk and somebody need, just a lot of stuff like that. And I saw how he kind of rolls. So I incorporated a lot of that into kind of what I do.
And you spoke highly of those three men, and I wanted to ask you because you said your father and your stepfather. What was it like at your age, being a child of divorce? Like, did that sh did that shape your view of marriage and relationships, did that make you look at, you know, life a little bit differently?
Well, no,
I know that can be hard.
I'll tell you why. I'm not a
Mhm.
child of divorce. They were never married. So,
Oh, okay.
so, when you have a situation like I came up in, and I'm not
Mhm.
afraid to say this at all.
Mhm.
They were never married. So, you know how kids, still children of divorce, they have to kind of deal with their parents' feeling towards each other
Yes.
because there was a love there that was broken up. There was a promise made. There was a forever that people stood in front of them that they made. My parents got in this situation. Hey, they were dating, having a good time. You know, my father proposed. My mom was like, "Look, we ain't gonna ruin both our lives here. Like, all right, we're gonna just take care of little man, and we're gonna be all right."
Hmm.
So there was never that type of tension there. It was not necessarily, I'll say, easy on my father. But what I'll tell you is, and I told him this to his face too. We did this dance better than a lot of people. The way we did it. So I would spend my summers with him, or at least a
Hmm.
month and a half out of the summer with him, and then I was in Alabama for the rest of in Mobile for the rest of the time.
Hmm.
But we was always close, always checked in. You know what I mean? And we were locked down tight. Um, what shaped me the most, though, in terms of relationships and everything, is my mother and stepfather's relationship.
Hmm.
So I had a chance to have a front row seat to the beginning, middle, and end of that.
Hmm.
And I say end because he passed away.
Yeah.
So when you're young and you see this guy come in dating your mom, and then you got to make space for him, and then you get along and everything's going good, and then I became a young man, an adult, and our relationship we were like this. We got really close. So you kind of see that, and I saw the things he was doing, and I'll tell you that really had an impression on me. You know what I mean? So
Hmm.
that relationship is what shaped me into the man I am in relationships now, because that was
Hmm.
something that was really solid, had some really good footing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah, yeah. And I can relate because my parents have always been together, but like one of my main influences have been like my uncles or men in the church or
mhm,
people within the neighborhood. Unfortunately, my dad was in my life, but he was never like in my life, if that makes sense.
sure. No, I got it. I
So
got it.
he was definitely around. He took care of my mom. But as far as instilling values into me, I can't humbly say I got that from him per se.
Sure.
But I'm glad that he was still around because I mean, I'm sure my life would probably look a little bit different if he wasn't. So,
Absolutely.
I'm definitely grateful for that. But I wanted to also ask you, man, you know, when you spoke earlier about how your wife was in the military before you, was there ever a time you felt like, well, I'll ask it directly. Did you ever fear your wife not coming home? And did she ever fear you the same way?
Um, no, because the type of deployment she was doing and what she had going on, it wasn't that nature of that.
Hmm.
And I've never given her enough information to know different about me and what I had going on and what I was doing, right? And when I say that, I mean just like I'm talking about in the moment or as things are going on, right? So you don't, but we have had times where, let's just say I'm going into harm's way and there's no comms, there's no communication. Okay, they kind of know, military wise, no, right? So, and remember too, I did a majority of my deploying and everything early on in my career before FaceTime, before social media was as widespread as it is now, like you know what I'm saying, and stuff like
Hmm.
that. So we didn't have all those ways to communicate. Man, I did this last deployment in Saudi Arabia. I talked to my family every day. Like I was able to see them every day because FaceTime and Wi-Fi and all this and that. When I came home, it was like I've been here.
Mm.
You know what I mean? So like if
Yeah.
let's say she bought some new curtains or whatever, I've already seen them. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Or whatever, right? So
Hmm.
it's a difference now than it was then. But no, that wasn't necessarily a thing when she was out. But when I was out, there was some scares and some times where we couldn't communicate because we had to shut down comms. We were doing certain things, but it wasn't like I gave her a heads up to be worried, or
Hmm.
whatever. So there may have been a few little times there, but not as not a full like, oh my God, you know what I'm saying? So it's just
Hmm.
yeah, but there's some sticky moments there.
Okay, yeah. And now my last question, I wanted to end on a fun note because a lot of people who've known who've been around my channel and other channels associated. Like I said, me and Kevin, we've talked about like comic books, movies, things of that nature.
Sure.
And I haven't talked to you in a while in regards to that. I want to ask you, man, because last time I talked to you, the MCU was like here,
Come on with it. Come
here.
on with it. Come on with
The MCU is not there no more. So I I want to ask you, man, because you know you've been around the block, you know. Um, what is your anticipation for Captain America: A Brave New World?
Okay.
And what do you feel about the MCU so far since the last time I've talked to you about it?
They made a lot of mistakes. Okay. I will say this though. There are a couple movies that people hate that I actually really like. Okay, so I kind of knew we were gonna talk about this because it's me and you, so I kind of had an idea.
Mhm.
So real quick, I'll throw a couple plugs out there. I really like Quantum Mania. Um,
I didn't think it was that bad.
I didn't think it was that bad. Now
All
I
right.
will say this:
Mm-hmm.
there's no way you treat your major villain like they treated Kang in that movie. But outside of that, I thought that movie was pretty fun. It's an
Mm-hmm.
Ant-Man movie, right? So I'm not expecting this to be Spider-Man.
Right.
Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness. I really had fun with that. Really liked it.
That was okay.
Yeah,
Man.
right.
Yeah.
So I kind of had
Mm-hmm.
Multiverse of Madness is what people were calling it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Some people didn't like the Spider-Man movie. Again, I had fun with that. I
Oh, I
really
love No
enjoyed
Way
it.
Home.
No Way
I,
Home was dope, right?
yeah.
Um, Now, what I did not like, the Eternals.
I did not
Can't
like that
stand it.
either. Yeah.
Can't stand it.
Mm-hmm.
But I ain't like the comic book. Now, with the Black Panther movie,
Oh, yeah.
okay. So my only gripe with that movie is why y'all kill Angela Bassett? Why y'all do that? We have been through enough as an audience. You know what I'm saying? We have just
Yeah.
been through enough. I was on the train of recast T'Challa because while Chadwick Boseman will forever have a place in my heart, and I love that brother. Um, that character should not have died with him. That character is bigger than any one actor ever should be, because of the nature to which he is important to the culture, right? So I feel like we need to take a pause. We need to respect that man and make sure we send him home correctly. But I think that should have been a recast. But that's just my 2 cents.
Mm-hmm.
Um, the Captain Marvel movie or whatever, I thought it was all right. It was just all right. It didn't move the needle.
Yeah.
And I tell you, what really has killed the MCU more so than the movies, it's been the TV shows.
Yeah.
Secret
Disney
Invasion was
Plus.
terrible. Disney Plus,
Yeah.
they have been killing. And when you think about how they started with WandaVision, Loki season 1, and then the Falcon and Winter Soldier show, which I really love that show. I had a ball with that show.
Mm-hmm.
And then you just, then you got the Hawkeye show and all this stuff kind of falls off from there.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of what killed it for me.
Mm-hmm.
I've never liked Kang as a villain, and but I will say when I saw the post credit scene in Quantum Mania, I thought, okay, we could do something with this.
Mm-hmm.
But the Kang in the movie, let me tell you something. That wasn't it, man. In terms of if you're telling me he's the next big bad, if you told me he's just an Ant-Man villain and we getting him out of here, okay, I'm cool. So what does all this mean? My anticipation for this Cap movie is pretty high, and I think they're gonna knock it out of the park.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
What's up, you guys? Momentum Media is on Patreon. Joining our Patreon, you get access to ad-free content, ad-free celebrity interviews before they hit the YouTube channel. You get to ask the celebrities different questions of who I'm interviewing, town hall meetings, and exclusive content to all the members of the Patreon. This way you help support us in growing our content here at Momentum Media before it hits our YouTube channel and other various social medias. And also, if you join us today, it's only $5 a month. If you join us, you get access to many different perks and many different things exclusive to you. We want you to be a part of the family and the bridges that we're building here at Momentum Media. Join us today at patreon.com/Momentum Media. Go ahead and scan the QR code on this video and you get to have access to everything that we're doing in the future of building this brand. Thank you guys so much for being a part of our family, and we would like to welcome you to Momentum media family.
Yeah, I'm excited about it. Now, this is what I believe is about to be the start of what I think our next phase is about to is gonna lead into and be about.
Hmm.
So I have some anticipation for it. Now, listen, I am not the biggest Red Hulk fan or anything like that or whatever, right? But I think for Sam Wilson and what's getting ready to happen here, I think it's a lot of this movie, for as much footage is out there, we haven't seen anything yet. Quite frankly, with bringing the leader back and kind of what that could mean, and then having Isaiah Bradley kind of had his mind control thing going. Like it's a lot that could be going on. The mention of adamantium and the fact that they're finally dealing with this celestial sticking out of the planet, right? Could
After
definitely
7 years, like
right,
really,
right,
yeah,
right.
yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean? Which is mistakes that they made, right?
yeah.
And so that may help. Um, so I have some hopes for it. I feel like this is the movie they're making after everybody's attention has not been spread so thin with all these TV shows. The fact that they had the Serpent Society, which is their second time trying to put them in the movie, by the way,
Mhm,
with Seth Rollins and those guys or whoever
mhm,
that was, and they cut them out of the movie.
mhm,
And this is the thing: people say, "Well, should you be panicking or whatever?" No, you shouldn't be panicking because when Batgirl was getting ready to come out, they shelved the movie and said this ain't good. Kevin Feige and them said, "No, reshoot it and get them out of here." That's how you're supposed to. You should, if it ain't working, don't try to make it work. So I think that they're gonna do this right. Now I'll tell you what my most anticipated movie this year is, and I can't even believe I'm finna say this. It's the Fantastic Four. I
mm.
am not and never have been a huge fan of them. I don't dislike them. But I haven't been a huge fan of them. I mean, because they're kind of old school and what's there for me. Reed Richards has just played this genius role across the comics and everything. So you see him, but
Mhm,
really is the Human Torch and the guys that you know what I'm saying?
mhm.
Man, I can't wait for that movie. Can't wait. That's the one I got my eye on this year.
Really? Because
I,
it's
and I,
funny you said that. I remember you saying you didn't like the previous movies that
oh,
came out.
terrible, terrible, terrible. And it's just one of those things, man. But I think they can. Let me say all this with a grain of salt.
Hmm.
Do I think the MCU is back or whatever? Ask me at the end of the year.
That's
You
where
know,
I'm at too.
ask me at
Ask
the end
me
of the
that
year.
at when we had like New Year's Eve. Ask
Yeah,
me
ask me
that.
at the. I'll come back on the show at the end of the year. We'll talk about it, right?
Yes,
But
I'm pencil you in
pencil
because
me
my
in for that.
next question is now that we are on this topic, like I said last time I saw you, MCU was here,
Right, right, right.
DCEU was always down here.
All the way at the bottom,
So
right?
I want to ask you since now that James Gunn is in the seat, we
Hmm.
have a new slate of movies and characters, and the first thing that we've seen so far is a trailer for Superman.
Hmm.
To give you my thoughts because as you know, like there are some things in DC that I did like, there are others that I don't. However, when I saw the Superman trailer, I just wanted to tell you because I never really mentioned how I felt about it online.
Okay.
To be honest, this is the most different Superman I've ever seen, and I loved it. And the reason
Okay.
why I loved it is because I've never seen a Superman so grounded in a way where when you see Clark Kent, he actually looks different than Superman. Like Clark Kent's his own person, and then when you actually fix his hair and takes off the glasses, it's like a whole nother person. And I mean, this is kind of cheesy, but they made it work with Crypto. I'm thinking Crypto's gonna be like some dog just in the background. Yeah, Crypto's there, but the fact that Crypto is instrumental in Superman's, I guess, upbringing is I think just the way they showed him is pretty cool. Now, reason why I love it so much and the reason why I think it's so grounded, we are now getting introduced to a world where there are other superheroes out there and they're working with him.
That's
And
it right there.
right, right. So you have these other heroes who are more seasoned, they know what to do. And essentially, it's kind of like a pre Justice League movie before we get the Justice League. So that's how I see it. And so far, we don't know what the plot is. We don't know what's going on. We just know we see Superman enduring a lot of Superman like villains. So I wanted to ask you, I know your take on the DCEU. Now that that's gone, What's your take on James Gunn taking the reins, and what's your take on seeing Superman? This new trailer.
So if I was gonna start a comic universe, a comic movie universe, he is definitely the guy you want to get. Let's go back, let's rewind a little bit. Let's go back to Guardians of the Galaxy.
Okay.
In one movie, which if you remember during that time, everybody's scratching their head saying, "Why is Marvel making this?"
Mm,
This is not, these are not beloved comic book characters. This isn't, the A-list type people, right? In one
mm,
movie, we got Groot,
yeah.
Rocket, Drax, Peter Quill, Gamora, um, and Nebula, right?
Nebula. Yeah.
Kind of front and center. He handled Thanos, he handled the Nova Corps, he did all that in one movie, right? Because he tells good stories and he's a visual storyteller. There's a lot of things that we just picked up on that he didn't have to say. Like I use a Nova Corps for example or whatever, right? Okay. They are on Nova Prime. They got a structure. They got uniforms. The ships look the same or whatever. You can look at that and say, this is a organized unit of people. Simple, right? We don't have to go into the backstory, who created all that, because that doesn't matter.
Mm,
So when you look at all of that, and then you say, okay, I want to start a comic universe, because I'll tell you, nobody has come out the gate swinging on their first movie having to deal with that many characters. You don't have a single director that
yeah.
has that many. Now you've had people that done, quite a bit.
The closest thing
Um,
I can think of is like the first X-Men movie. That's the closest thing I
sure,
think of. Yeah.
right? First team movie, whatever,
Mm,
right? So
mm,
there's that. But
mm.
as far as like the MCU or whatever,
Never.
never, right? So
Mm,
when you look at that and then you go and you say, okay, and there were some complaints about the Superman trailer. People saying, I thought this was a Superman movie and this and that. And you hit the nail on the head. I agree with you wholeheartedly. With the point I was going to make is we have to stop treating these heroes like they work and live in a vacuum. You know what I'm saying?
mm,
Because the reason why the narrative of Superman falls apart for a lot of people is because he can't be everywhere at once. But you and I, as comic book readers, know he doesn't have to be. As a matter of fact, he really hang out in Metropolis a lot. And Batman don't really want him in Gotham. You know what I'm saying? Like that. You know what I'm saying? And Barry Allen had his city, I can't think of the name right. His city that he's in. You see what I'm
mm,
saying? So,
mm,
and like you said, a lot of stuff about Superman that people skipped over and did not embrace. That's what James Gunn did. This country, this world is obsessed with animals and with dogs or whatever. Why wouldn't you give Superman his dog to connect with the audience? Right?
yeah.
Here we are, 1,000 Superman movies in. This is our first time really getting crypto like that. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know, so I'm excited for what they got going on. I really love Creature Commandos that came out on HBO Max. I thought it was a
Yeah.
really good show.
Yeah.
Had some fun with that, and that was kind of a carryover from his Suicide Squad movie. Kind of same premise, same joint. We know he can write team stuff.
Mm,
I really enjoyed Peacemaker for what it was.
mm,
Um, you know, it, it, I I think the show came off the rails a little bit at the end with the alien stuff, but I thought Peacemaker himself was good, and some of the sideline characters. So
mm.
I think they're in a really good spot, man. I am just curious to see. This is what I'm curious to see. How powerful is James Gunn's Superman?
Mm,
And so this is what Superman's run into for me in the past. Run into some problems.
mhm.
Now, Superman needs somebody to punch, like straight up, right? So what happens is you end up having to really get some overpowered people in front of Superman. Now, I'm not saying this Superman should be weak and shouldn't be able to do the things that Superman can do, but I think if you set your hierarchy and your power structure up, it's like, yeah, you got Batman and them down here, and Superman is here, but maybe the new gods are right here. Maybe Lobo's up here.
Mm, yeah.
Maybe, and it's something that you said that I'm picking up on, which is, hey, he just getting started. This is a younger Superman who's trying to come into his own, and maybe as a Kryptonian, maybe processing the sun ain't at maximum height yet. You see what I'm saying? So it could
Mhm.
be some things like that come into play. But the only hiccup we've ever seen Superman have is kryptonite, and I think there's a whole lot of other stuff out there too. Until in the comics, until we saw Doomsday take him to almost his death or whatever, right? So there's some other stuff out there, but yeah, I'm excited for it, man. But yeah, you're right, bro. The last time we did one of these shows, man, the MCU could do no wrong. You know what I mean?
What? Yeah. They
And
were
that is,
here.
yeah, that is
Yeah.
just not the case now. Can they come back? Yes, but I'm gonna tell you something, and I don't want to be too long on here, man. I'm having fun talking to you though.
Mm.
The thing about this is, brother, we have to think about is this, and nobody talks about this. They fundamentally changed movies.
Yeah.
You a comic book fan? I'm a comic book fan. We read all that stuff. We have read arcs, and then you have to pick up the next book, and you're like, man. So what happens is this: we go and we have Endgame, and then everybody's asking the question, well, who's the next big bad and who's this and that's like, no, 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 y'all don't understand. We got to bring it down because the only way um Endgame and Infinity War work is if you care about the characters. And I'll tell you one mistake Marvel has made right now is we don't have a new character anybody cares about because we haven't seen him enough. Where is Shang-Chi? Excellent film. Where is he?
Oh man, my favorite out of this phase is one of my favorites.
Yeah, where is he? See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So and if you go back, and sometimes I forget, I know you that you'll be like, oh, I forgot Anthony Mackie was in this movie. Oh, I forgot Loki was all the way back here, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you build on it and you have to care. So I think that this is where we are, but I think what's going to happen is I think the MCU is getting ready to get real Fantastic Four centric. I think what they're going to do is they're going to have this is my prediction. I'm going here. I'm going to ask you yours. This is mine.
Mm.
I think this this Captain America movie is going to be the it's going to solidify the nucleus of the Avengers on Earth on 616. I think when we catch up with the Fantastic Four and whatever universe that they're in or whatever, they'll recognize a world-ending threat and they'll come back this way. And then that's how you're going to see the teams get formed and how this thing is going to ride out. I know there's some details out there about the movies coming. I'm just saying, I think Reed Richards and them are going to be at the central, part of this conflict. And the Avengers will be whoever, because you got to think about this. We ain't seen nobody in those trailers except for the Captain America movie. You've seen Cap, you've seen the new Falcon, you've seen Red Hulk or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Neither one of them ain't got nothing for Red Hulk. Now I know we're gonna see a new vibranium suit, maybe some adamantium laced through there, maybe something like that.
Yeah.
They need some help.
Yeah. Yeah.
So this might end up being more like Civil War, where that fourth act might be, hey, fans, we heard y'all. Let's pull everybody on in here. Because we got Thunderbolts coming too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a team that's gonna come out of this. Because right now you don't have an Avengers roster.
You don't. Even in the trailer, Thunderbolt Ross, Harrison Ford is like, I want you to reestablish the Avengers again.
Yeah.
And if you remember in Endgame, Avengers Tower their base is destroyed. There is no base. Yeah.
So what we could have is at the end of this movie, Anthony Mackie may look at Falcon and say, we got to put a team together. We got to bring everybody back, or whatever, or whoever, right? It could be something like that. But I think that's where we're going, and I think that the Fantastic Four is going to be the linchpin. Now I'm gonna give you my overall theory of what I think is going to happen, and I'll shut up.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever these Doomsday and whatever these movies end up being, I think Franklin Richards, because in the comic books, Franklin puts everybody in the pocket dimension and kind of brings everybody back. And that's when they got rid of all this other stuff. I think Franklin Richards may be the person to do a snap and bring all the universes together. If they do Secret Wars and they do a Battle World, and then you're gonna meet all these mutants and people, because Battle World is consisted of different remnants of universes that were left over after the incursions and all that or whatever, right?
Mm-hmm.
If they do this and bring everybody together, he'll snap, and everybody's wondering, well, how are they going to introduce mutants into the whatever? Franklin Richards is going to redo it, and then everybody will be all in one universe. And I think that's good. I think it's something like that's going to happen. And Tiana Parrish, our sister that's out there, she's in that other universe with the X-Men and all that or whatever.
Yeah.
When the X-Men come into play and she up there with them, they're gonna be on Battle World because you already got the rip in time, space, and all that.
Mm-hmm.
I think Franklin is gonna be the one to bring it together. And when we come out of this saga here, everybody's gonna be in one universe, and you won't have to explain anything.
So before I tell you my prediction of what I think is going to happen, and it's almost as spot on what you're saying. Before I want to ask you this next question, because you brought up Doomsday. Do you think I'll say it. Do you think it's a desperate move for them to bring back RDJ?
Absolutely.
Doom? I
Absolutely.
see. I knew it. I
Yeah,
knew it.
absolutely. But you know what though? The thing is, the reason why we know that and I'm okay with it is because we watch the demise of their plan play out in real time. Jonathan Majors got in trouble. You know what I'm saying? They had completely pivoted. They was giving somebody else a shot. Now they said they had that meeting in Palm Springs, said they were trying to pivot anyway because people wasn't really feeling him. I say people love Jonathan Majors. They didn't love what you did with him. See what I'm saying? You
Mhm.
can't have him be the big bad for this thing and get beat by Ant-Man.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
cannot.
Yeah. I
You
agree with that.
cannot. You cannot.
Hmm.
I don't care if anybody said, well, the ants that came in there at the end or whatever. No, 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 no,
Right.
no.
Nah.
No, no.
Hmm.
So you can't do that. So the treatment of Jonathan Majors as Kane is what sunk that. They looked and they said, you know what? Nobody has an emotional connection to any of these people that's going on here. Can you imagine how it's going to be when Doom mask come off and Spider-Man think it's Tony?
I, I've heard that point, and you're absolutely right. And I get it. It's not Tony, it's Doom. So emotionally, it's going to mess with our minds. It's going to mess with his mind. I
Sure.
get it. I guess my thing is we said goodbye to Tony. I don't feel as though we need him back. That like for me,
Yeah.
like I get the implications of what it's going to cause amongst the people who lost Tony and to see basically another remnant of him, but it's not Tony, it's Victor Von Doom. I get how that's going to emotionally mess with people's heads, and I'm willing to see that. I just feel as though if God forbid Marvel gets in another jam, are we running back to, you know what I'm saying? Like, are we running back to that?
No,
So,
no, no, you're right. I'm not disagreeing with you at all. It's just a desperate play. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
I think that they were looking at that and it was just like, look, you guys didn't establish anybody and give us a reason to kind of care and to kind of do this right now because everything's so disjointed. So what they do, they're gonna. I mean, at this point, we're gonna get old Cap.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So that's kind of how it's gonna be. But I'm just wondering when you had Endgame and all that, they were kind of pulling at the heartstrings and they were kind of finishing the story. I think we gotta look at this one a little bit different, and this may be the start of something. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
this right here may not be, oh, we capping this off. No, it's hey, we messed up. Let's use all these people to springboard us into what's coming next.
Hmm.
Because they really haven't done anything with the X-Men, right? And
Hmm.
maybe we get that, that side of things after they wrap this up. So, brother, I'm excited for it, for what could be. Um, I'm gonna be there Valentine's Day. My old lady gonna have to just, hey, with this our Valentine's, we going to the movies. I know you're gonna be there. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And
Yeah.
and, and it's gonna be what it's gonna be, man. So I'm looking forward to it, bro. I really am.
Yeah, me too. So my prediction is that well, I'll say I feel as though if they would have started this new multiverse phase, I feel as though with a new Captain America 4 movie, I think we would have had a little bit better footing instead of these
Hmm.
Disney Plus shows. Because
Sure.
even though those Disney Plus shows came out, we got introduced to new characters. I don't really see how they fit the over narrative. Like I know Daredevil's coming out, I think next month or either next month or in March. I when I think of like an Avengers led threat, I don't think of the Daredevil. I
Sure.
think of Daredevil as maybe a lower version of Batman. Like if I need something solved politically or legally, and that needs some bones need to be broken, I'm gonna call him. But to call him to fight Thanos and Thanos' minions, I call T'Challa before I call Daredevil because at least
Sure.
T'Challa is in a situation where he's prepared for anything. But my prediction for the MCU is going to be so I think the X-Men live in the same world as the Fantastic Four. And how you said earlier about
Okay.
there's going to be a pocket universe where uh a particular character is going to bring them together. I don't know what's going to happen in Wars because if anybody's ever read the comic book of Wars, there are a lot of things that do happen.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. It's a big
So
story.
I don't know how I doubt it's going to be. I know something of the comic is going to ring in the movies. However, I think Scarlet Witch, because we didn't see her body,
Hmm.
is going to be that one to bring a sort of like a worlds collide type of thing, only because you can't kill her. Like you just can't. I don't believe she's dead. Now, would I be surprised if she doesn't show up? No. If she does show up, then I think she has a larger role to play further on down the line. Now, what I also think is going to happen, you know, Captain America 4, I think is going to be the springboard of all of that because it's addressing a lot of those things from just the
Absolutely.
trailers that we saw. So once that ends and then we get into the next phase or the next set of movies, um, I believe Robert Downey Jr. is in Fantastic Four First Steps. He's not the main villain. I think he's going to make a cameo or
Sure,
have
sure.
maybe a scene here and there, but trust and believe he's in that movie. So I believe he's in that movie, and I believe his character is going to be the one to be bringing the threat to multiple worlds. And for some reason, the Avengers, the external Avengers, all of the Avengers are going to come together to fight Doom. Because remember, Doom is not just a smart individual; he also dwells in the land of the mystics and the mystic
Yep.
arts.
Yep.
So he knows that there the different realities outside of the MCU. He can almost bring them together. And another thing I would say is once we get to Secret Wars, I believe once it ends, I believe there's going to be a reset. So we're going to have our official 5 team of Avengers, and then the next time we see another Avengers movie, I believe it's going to be with that 5. But the sequel to that next one, like Avengers 8, would probably be that a next Avenger level threat because we have to establish that Sam is Cap. This is Cap. We have to establish that Shang-Chi is Shang-Chi. We have to establish that Peter Parker, however long he's going to be Spider-Man until either he gets recast or they transition to Miles, which I don't really, I see it happening. I don't foresee it happening anytime soon.
Sure.
So I want to see how they're going to do this all together. Um, and I firmly believe that's why I said my theory is kind of spot on like yours. There's going to be somebody in the MCU to bring these worlds together because in the MCU, the Fantastic Four doesn't exist. Xavier's School of Mutants don't exist. And
Doesn't
it's
exist.
hard to tell. I've always said it's hard to tell a X-Men story in the MCU because the X-Men are hated individuals. The MCU superheroes are not. Some of them are, but as the Avengers as a whole, they're still looked at as heroes. And
Yep.
I always pose the question, what is the difference between mutants and heroes? I mean, they both have powers and they both save the day. So having the X-Men in the MCU would be kind of difficult to tell because you're in a world where superpowers are celebrated to an extent. So that's why I said I think they're in the same world as the Fantastic Four, or maybe a different world. And I think, like you said, someone in Secret Wars is going to bring all of that together. And now that Tony's dead, because you know this, uh, Reed Richards is the greatest mind in the Marvel comics. So and then it's Shuri and there's some other intellectuals, but
Sure.
it's him.
It's him.
So I think he's going to be instrumental in probably bringing those multiverses together. So I am interested, like you to say, see, and I agree with you. My next anticipated Marvel movie is Fantastic Four
So we're on
because
the
it looks
same
like it's
page
in a
with this.
futuristic city.
Yeah, we're in the same page with this thing. Yeah, and I'll tell you this. One thing I
Mm,
really like that you said was about
mm,
Scarlet Witch. I forgot about her.
mm,
And if you were gonna, let's just say she was done playing the character, her last to atone for all the things she's done, her last thing could be bring it all together and get up out of there. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. I'm just making up something, right? But just to
mhm,
say, I really like your theory on that. Needless to say, they're gonna do a lot in a short time, and I think that casual fans won't get it, and they're gonna be looking for, oh, it's an Avengers movie. This thing should be emotional, this and that. I just think this is a springboard. I think this is how we get into what the new status quo of the MCU is gonna be, man. I
mhm.
like a lot of what you said tonight. Yeah, it's good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah, and I'm like you, I'm interested in seeing it. Man, Kevin, I am so glad to have you on this show.
Anytime, brother.
I'm
Anytime.
so grateful to have you. Tell the people where we can find you on social media, or if you're promoting anything or anything like that.
You know what, man? I'm just at Kevin Garlington, on Facebook, and then and I'm at Hupster Pics on IG, but I have since retired from photography,
Mhm.
just because I've been out of the country and been doing a lot of stuff or whatever. But man, I'm around. You'll see me around his page. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Commenting on stuff and throwing a
Mhm.
like up every now and then when I'm on social media. But we
Mhm.
got to get together and do this a little bit more.
Oh,
And I would
yeah.
love to get back on the phone with you. I know you're not always covering comic content. We've always grown and stuff has changed. But if
Mhm.
you, even if we're not recording, this, we need to talk about this movie after Valentine's Day. We need to
Oh
talk.
yeah. Oh bro, I got you. I got you. I'm gonna bring you back. Probably not for this show, but probably for the Alex Hampton show. It's gonna be me, you, Jeremy, Ian, and a
Oh,
couple others.
absolutely.
Oh,
Oh, the
we
crew.
we we gonna go
Absolutely. Yeah.
in. We gonna go
Absolutely.
in.
Can't wait for it, man. Can't wait
Yeah,
for it.
yeah. So pencil that in. If you don't, I pray you don't get deployed between now and then.
No, we
But
good. We
I
good.
got you when that comes. But everybody go follow Kevin on Facebook. Really good dude, very knowledgeable dude, and a great dude. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe. If you want to watch this show episode ad free, go to our Patreon page. Be a supporter over there, and it comes out before it hits YouTube. So once it's out on YouTube, it's free to the public for everyone to enjoy. Thank you guys so much for watching this episode, and as always, you guys have a blessed day.